Back to Miller. Oh, my goodness.
Herbert.
Sidearm sling, and it's a touchdown.
Tyrese Maxey.
Oh, good spin move by Filipowski for the news. Give him 9.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Beef Upfront podcast here on Pick Swap Media. Your host, Ryan Coyle, joined alongside Kevin Cannon for our weekly show, NFL Big 5 Games of the Week. Coming off some Week 3 action where we both did really well. I went 11-4 total, so I went 5-0 straight up on my picks, 4-1 against the spread, 2-3 on my over-unders. I went 0-1 on my dog of the day, and then I went 1-0 on my lock of the week with the Jets Patriots under 37. I think the total in that one was only 25, so it was a big-time win there. Kev, you went 9-6 last week, 3-2 straight up, 4-1 against the spread, so we both went 80% this week against the spread. 2-3 total for you. You went 1-0 on your dog of the day. You got the Steelers there at plus money. And then 1-0 on your lock of the week with the Dolphins, minus 6.5, as they won that game against the Broncos 70-20. And you are now 3-0 on your locks of the week so far. So welcome back, Kev. Hopefully you have another lock for us. Go to 4 in a row, but two strong weeks from us back to back. Welcome back to the show, and how are we?
Great. Should be a lot of fun this week. A lot of good games on the slate.
Yeah, well, this week we will be starting it off on Thursday night with an NFC North game, and we have the Lions at 2-1 traveling to the Packers at 2-1. Last time the Lions traveled to Lambeau Field, they ended the Aaron Rodgers era. This will be the 8:15 Thursday Night Football game on Amazon Prime. Lions are a 1-point road favorite here. Over/under is 45.5. Can the Packers get this one at home, Kev?
I am going no. Lions 23, Pack 20. So the Lions covering and the under 45.5 hidden. This was a really tough pick for me. Went back and forth a little bit. I just like the Lions here because I think they've shown a little bit more this season. Jordan Love has looked impressive, especially last week in the comeback, but he wasn't really doing anything in the first 3.5 quarters of the game. And the Lions took care of business relatively easily last week against the Falcons. The Packers have owned this division as of late, winning 12 division titles since 2002. However, there has been a shift of power a little more recently. The Lions went 6-0 against the spread in the North last year. They're also 4-4 in their last 8 against Green Bay, and Jared Goff is also 4-2 in his career against Green Bay. Detroit's also 14-6 against the spread since the start of last season, so they're just a cover machine. Jordan Love has also been somewhat inconsistent this year. He has shown up when it counts, but I think the inconsistency bites him in the back here. The Packers offense just can't keep up with Goff and the Lions.
Yeah, those were some interesting nuggets there on the Lions. I kind of wish I knew a few more of those before I made my pick here, but I'm going to take the Packers at home. Just on a short week in a divisional game, and you're giving me a team at home as an underdog. I'm going to take that. So I'm going to take the Packers, but in a close victory, 21-20. So I'll go Packers +1 and under 45.5. As I touched on in the prelude, kind of last time the Lions were here, they ended the Aaron Rodgers era. And while he's no longer in Green Bay, a lot of the guys from last year's squad are still there and know that the Lions ended their playoff chances because that was a win-and-in scenario for Green Bay last year. You have to think revenge is kind of on their mind. Matt LaFleur has probably been saying that all week at practice, been emphasizing that. And this is like you were kind of saying, I think this is like these are the two teams we're going to see in the North this year. Like the Bears 0-3, Vikings 0-3, these two teams sitting at 2-1. Winner of this goes to 3-1, and they're inching closer and closer to pulling away kind of from the bottom of the pack in this division. So say what you want about Matt LaFleur and coming up short in the playoffs, but as the regular season head coach, he's just found ways to win football games. And I have been impressed by Love. Like you said, he's been a little bit up and down, but he's shown me some really encouraging flashes, and I think he's going to be a very solid quarterback going forward. Don't think he's going to reach that Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre type, but I think he could be, a solid Dak Prescott, Kirk Cousins, top 10 to 12 fringe quarterback every single year. And if you get some improved weapons, even maybe better. The Lions defense, though, has really stood out to me in the early going, Kev. Very impressive. I think that they won them those games against the Chiefs and the Falcons. And for that reason, I think we're going to see a lower scoring game here, especially with it being prime time. The unders have been hitting at a high clip this year. I believe the unders are 7-2 so far in the prime time game. So short week, divisional opponent, home underdog. I'm going to go with the home team in that one, getting the points. I'm going to give Green Bay the nod, but I do think it's a really good battle. We transition to Sunday now, going from what we both are looking at, I think, as kind of a lower scoring game with the Lions and the Packers. This one, I think everyone's expecting fireworks and a lot of points. And that's Sunday at 1 o'clock on CBS. The 3-0 Dolphins, coming off a 70-point performance, travel to the 2-1 Bills. Bills are a minus 2.5-point favorite, and the over-under in this matchup is 54.
I got Dolphins winning 31, Bills 27, Dolphins covering 2.5, over a 54 hidden. Probably the most anticipated matchup of the weekend. The Bills come off 2 dominant wins versus the Raiders and Commanders after the tough week 1 loss to the Jets. The Dolphins coming off like that historic week last week, 70 points in the game against the Broncos and without Jalen Waddle, which makes it even more impressive, in my opinion. It's kind of just really hard for me to pick against the Dolphins here, 3-0, and the offense just looks unstoppable. With that being said, they haven't played the greatest defenses except the Pats, who did hold them to 24 points and had a chance to win the game late in the game with a final drive. The Bills have forced the most turnovers in the NFL so far this season with 9. The Bills also have a very good offense and have seemed to have found something in James Cook. The knock on the Bills in previous years has always been that there was no running game to complement the passing game of Josh Allen. Josh Allen always felt like he had to be Superman and just do everything. But Cook is third in the league in rushing while averaging over 6 yards a carry, which is huge for the Bills offense. I just haven't always been the biggest believer in the Bills, and I'm going to ride with the Dolphins here to move to 4-0.
I'm going to go against you here. I'm going to take the home team in this one as well. I'm going to go Bills 34, Dolphins 27. So Bills minus 2.5 in the over of 54. I feel like this game kind of reminds me of last year at the beginning of the season. I want to say it was the week 2 Thursday night game. It was Chargers Chiefs, and it felt like everyone in the world was on the over in that game. I feel like everyone in the world is going to be on the over in this one. And for some reason, I'm still going to ride with the public here, but I feel like this could be the game where everyone's expecting 1 million points and we get like a 20-17 type battle. But I mean, it should just be a really fun game at the end of the day. I think the Eagles finally playing a 1 o'clock game, going to have to be kind of checking back and forth with this one on that. But Dolphins coming off that 70-point performance, Bills starting to find their groove, and oddly enough, when Josh Allen isn't really turning the ball over and making stupid mistakes, the Bills can be a good team. But Dolphins win this. I'm not going to say they have a stranglehold on the division title, but they have a 2-game lead. The Dolphins will move to a 2-0 start in the division. The Bills will fall to 0-2 in the division. You're winning at Buffalo. That would just be huge and would really give them a tremendous leg up going for the rest of the season. Through 3 games, the Dolphins are averaging 552 yards per game on offense and a ridiculous 43 points per game. That might be a little bit inflated by that 70-point performance, but that is like what USC has been doing in college football this season out in the Pac-12. These are like pure video game numbers. I don't know how sustainable it's going to be over the course of the season, but sure is fun to watch right now. And Buffalo, until proven otherwise, Kev, is still the king of this division. And I think they have the defense to not stop this Miami attack. I don't think that's going to be able to happen unless Tua or Tyreek Hill suffers like a major injury this year. But this is a group I think that can limit them, and with the defensive background of Sean McDermott, find a few ways to throw some wrinkles at them to maybe slow this group down. Last year, Buffalo beat Miami in the playoffs at home, and then they beat them in the regular season at home as well. I haven't seen the Dolphins go to Buffalo and win yet with Tua, so I'm going to take the Bills here, still as the king of the AFC East, to win this one. Like I said, I will take the over for the sake of our picks, but I feel like it's going to be one of those things where everyone's going to have that in like a parlay, and that's going to be the leg to lose it just because 99% of the public's on it. So should be a really fun and exciting game. I'm excited to see the Dolphins go up to Buffalo and see what they can transpire, but I'll go Bills minus 2.5 in the over of 54. Third game of the week. Now we go back to probably a boring defensive matchup, but still one that will probably come down to the 2-minute warning and maybe who has the ball last. We go to the AFC North with the 2-1 Ravens at the 2-1 Browns. 1 o'clock on CBS. Browns minus 2.5 and the over under is 41.5.
Going Browns 17, Ravens 14. Browns minus 2.5 covering, and the under of 41.5 hidden. This has the potential to be just a classic AFC North slugfest that's low scoring, very close all day. The Browns defense has been dominant at home so far this year, only allowing 3 points to the Bengals and then 3 points to the Titans last week. Deshaun Watson also played arguably his best game as a Brown last week, going 27-33 for 289 yards and 2 tutties. The Russian attack is obviously not the same without Nick Chubb, but they are just trying to take a running back by committee approach now. Last week, 7 different players had Russian attempts. That's just a huge number. No bell cow anymore. The Ravens defense has also been very good this year, coming in at number 2 in yards per play to start the season, but number 1 is Cleveland. So their offense also has some injuries, and the game's in Cleveland, so I'm taking the Browns here.
I'm going to go the Browns 2. I'm going to take them 17-16. So I'll take the Browns outright, but to cover the spread and thread the needle there on our picks, I'll go Ravens plus 2.5, but definitely love the under of 41.5 in this game. I agree that the under in this one, with you kind of saying the slugfest and whatnot, the under might be one of my favorite plays of the week. I don't think it's being talked about, though, enough how good the Browns defense has been this season. They've only allowed 28 total points in 3 games, and they're only allowing 188 yards per game. So they probably get the best offense that they've faced yet, though. I know they played the Bengals in week 1, but we know that they haven't looked like the same old Bengals as years past. So this is a big test for them with Lamar Jackson coming to town. And Lamar Jackson as an underdog has been a very good quarterback in his young NFL career. But the Browns have also not won, I believe I saw a stat, back-to-back games when Deshaun Watson's been their starting quarterback. So something's got to give here. I still don't fully trust this Ravens passing attack yet, and the Browns have really been dominant stopping the run, holding their opponents only 52 yards per game on the ground. So this game just has the recipe for some ugly football and the under of hitting, like you were saying with this AFC North type of battle. I'm going to take the home team straight up in this one, but taking the Ravens to cover the spread there at plus 2.5. All right, 4th game of the week, we go to Philadelphia now with the Commanders at 2-1 at the 3-0 Eagles in an NFC East matchup. 1 o'clock kickoff on Fox. Eagles minus 8.5 here. Over under is 44.5. Can the Commanders knock the Eagles off from the ranks of the unbeaten, Kevin?
I am going no. Eagles win by 10, 27, Commanders 17, Eagles covering, under 44.5 hidden. I like the Eagles here comfortably, but still not a blowout. The Eagles defense, especially the D-line, has been excellent so far this season. Last week, Sam Howell showed what happens when he plays an elite defense. They averaged 3.3 yards a play, and he also had 4 picks. The Eagles passing game showed flashes last week, but Jalen still had some bad decisions that he needs to clean up, and things weren't free-flowing like they were last year. I think the same thing kind of happens for them this week. I think there's going to be flashes again, but they're going to rely heavily on the run with Swift and everyone else, and it's been unstoppable this year. The Eagles win this, but they never truly deliver like that knockout punch we've been waiting for all year. They take care of business and still end up covering the spread just like last week.
I'm going to take the Eagles to win big as well. I'll take them to cover, but a little bit more substantial than you. I'm going to go Eagles 31, Commanders 14. So Eagles minus 8.5 and the over of 44.5 hitting. It is amazing, though. I think it might just be me being or us being Philadelphia fans, but just sitting there on Monday night, watching the game, watch the Eagles win by 14 points on the road against a 2-0 team, and then still coming away not very impressed. Like, I think just the standard that they've raised for what to kind of expect from them is super high, and hopefully that they're able to get there by the end of the season. But as long as they just keep checking off that win box each and every week, that's all that matters. I mean, Hurts being 20-1 in his last 21 starts is just beyond impressive. But that one loss did come at home last year to the Commanders. So the Commanders in that game to defeat the Eagles, their method of success in that one was play ball control offense. They ran for 152 yards. They converted on 12 out of their 21 third downs. I remember them getting into a bunch of third and manageables and even like some like 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3s and just running it for 3 or 4 yards and getting that first down and then dominating the time of possession. They had the ball for 40 minutes and 24 seconds, and the Eagles still had a chance there to win the game at the end. So shows you the Commanders really had to play a perfect game just to win this one, and I'm not expecting them to do that again. I expect a similar style of approach and game plan in this one, but I think it's going to come down to whether or not Sam Howell can take care of the football, and I don't think he's going to be able to against this opportunistic Eagles team that already has 8 takeaways on the year. So Like you were saying, Kev, I do want to see more explosion in the passing game and some more knockout punches from Hurts and company. But if defenses, it seemed like they're just playing those two high safeties and just trying to keep everything in front of them. They do that, just dink and dunk your way down the field with your elite weapons and then run the ball for 150 yards every game and just keep winning by double digits. You can't really complain about too much at the end of the day there. So coming into this year, I had the Commanders as a 3-win team. They already have 2 wins, but last week they kind of looked more and more like a potential 3 or 4 win team on the year. I think the Eagles exposed them again. Big time win here at home, 31-14. Gets the crowd riled up. Maybe a few deep passing plays to AJ and Devontae, and the Eagles go on to 4-0. All right, 5th and final game of the week. Not much points like expecting this week. The totals for all the games were really low. The only high one was at 54 in the Bills-Dolphins game. This is another low total. The 2-1 Bucs that we kind of just touched on at the 2-1 Saints. 1 o'clock kick on Fox. All our games besides a Thursday game are done by 1 on this week. Saints are a 2.5-point favorite, and over-under is 40.5. Jameis Winston revenge game, Kev. You think that kind of goes through and he winds up getting that dub?
I do think the Saints win 21, Bucks 17, Saints minus 2.5, under 40.5. Not really sure what to make of this game. So the Saints will probably be without Derek Carr. He'll be on the sideline holding an umbrella. So it's going to be Jameis starting, like you said. Little revenge game for him. The Saints let me down last week. I picked them against the Packers, but because their defense, I'm going to ride with them again here. It looked like the right pick last week for 3.5 quarters, but then Jordan Love, the Packers came back like we talked about already. The Bucs came back down to earth last week after getting beat up on by the Birds. It's very smart of me, but I am trusting the Saints defense here again in this one after last week. The Saints defense forces some turnovers on Baker, just like the Eagles did last week. And I think Jameis doesn't play any less average than Derek Carr has already to start the year.
Yeah, it'd be pretty wild if Derek Carr was holding an umbrella on this one, especially indoors, but maybe that's a good way to kind of heal his shoulder. I'm going to take the Saints here as well, 23-20. So Saints minus 2.5 in the over 40.5. I really hate that pick, but I feel like Jameis and Baker might kind of just sling the rock and 9 passes get tipped in the air or something. You get pick 6, you get a deflection for a touchdown, just like some really crazy plays between the two of these guys, both former number 1 overall picks, which is pretty weird as well, seeing them bounce around the league and now playing against each other. But I think more than likely Carr's going to be out. They say he's day-to-day optimism. That's just all, coach speak or whatever. I do think Jameis is going to kind of try and take this game personally, though, which isn't ideal for the Saints. The defense for the Saints has came to play this year, allowing only 18 points last week in their loss to the Packers, holding the Panthers to 17 and the Titans to 15. They just need the quarterback to really just go out there and take care of the ball, and we know Jameis Winston does not do that. I do think he can add another dimension to this passing game, though. Like you're saying, Derek Carr's been really mediocre. They've got some nice weapons in the passing game. Olave's looked like a stud. Michael Thomas has looked pretty good. Rashid Shaheed is another really fast, explosive weapon on this team. And then you're getting Alvin Kamara back this week. So I think this passing offense could have a little bit more juice coming to it this week and maybe some more explosive plays. But still, at the end of the day, he needs to take care of the football. And I think the Bucs proved last week that they're going to struggle against some upper echelon defenses this year. They played so far the Bears and the Vikings, 2 teams that are sitting at 0-3 and haven't been able to stop a nosebleed yet. And then last week when they played the Eagles, they were held to only 11 points. So I think the Baker magic might be coming to a little bit of an end after that 2-0 start. And I do think Jameis gets the win at home here. So give me the Saints at home, and I'm going to predict 2 interceptions from both Baker and Jameis this week. So combined 4 interceptions in this game. But Saints at home minus 2.5 and the over of 40.5 hitting there. All right, now we go to the dog of the day, our underdog pick of the week. I'm going to go Seahawks here, Monday Night Football on the road at +1. They're minus 105 on the money line. Might be a little bit of a trap there. Like, I think the Seahawks are a better team, and based off what we've seen from the Giants thus far, especially if Saquon's out again, you would think the Seahawks would be maybe like a 2.5, 3-point favorite here. And this is a game that's, I think, kind of benefiting them because it's the West Coast team traveling to the East Coast, but it's on a Monday night, so it's not really that much of a difference body clock-wise, I think. So the Seahawks don't really have much going against them. They look like a much better team in the early going so far than this Giants squad. So I'm going to take the Seahawks here on the road at +1 and minus 105 on the money line.
I'm going Rams plus 1.5 against the Colts, which is plus 102 on the money line. Colts have a little bit of a let game down here after upsetting the Ravens last week. And the Rams to start the season have been playing a little better than I expected.
All right, and our lock of the week, we both hit on this last week. I will go to the Bears Broncos under a 45.5. I know the Broncos just let up 70 points last week to the Dolphins, but Big Cats Bears, they haven't really lit the world on fire yet either. So that's sounding more and more like a disaster going on in Chicago. I think this could be a game that I mean, Sean Payton definitely won't get fired, but if the Broncos go out there and the Bears really struggle, we could see Eberflus potentially get fired this week. I just think this one is just two teams that are already in disarray at 0-3, playing desperation mode, trying to avoid 0-4 and really putting the coffin or the last nail in the coffin for your season. So I think this is an ugly matchup, and I think it's kind of like a 20-17 type game. So give me Bears Broncos under 45.5 for my lock of the week.
My lock of the week is going to be Bengals minus 2.5 versus the Titans. Joe Burrow is back, still not great. However, their defense has been very, very good. The Titans' offense has just not looked good at all. Derrick Henry's only averaging 3.2 yards a carry. So I'm going Bengals minus 2.5.
All right, well, that will do it for NFL Big 5 games of the week, the Week 4 edition. Pretty crazy that we're already 4 weeks into the season now. It's wild once it gets here how fast it goes, but just what you look forward to every single week. So any last second comments before we head out, Kev?
Go Birds, Sunday.
Yeah, finally, a 1 o'clock game, and I'm sure you're going to be locked in for that one, right?
Yes, definitely.
All right, thank you everyone for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, and we'll talk next week.